How are you viewing this? Because obviously it is incredibly important going into an election year.
Yeah, I would agree with the consensus that you saw in that package that cuts in the early half of the year seem unlikely at this point. I mean, look, I think that the Fed has a dual mandate, has to be attuned not only to the fact that inflation is coming down, but they have to be aware of the fact that there could be signs of labor market softening in the coming months. Obviously, today's report was very strong and there weren't signs of softening there. But I think as you get into January and February, it's something that the Fed should pay attention to. So I think that right now, the balance of risks weigh in favor of a pause and the maintenance of the rates where they are right now. But I think that the Fed should be data dependent. And I think we're going to see a lot of data in January and February.
Well, we all had two big questions at 8:30 this morning. It was, what's the Fed going to do on interest rates? And what does this mean about calls for a recession or a soft landing? Mark Zandi was popping corks just as the White House was this morning, because if you're at 3.7%, you can't meet the definition of a recession. So is this the soft landing?
I think that if you were to have a soft landing, it would look an awful lot like this. And I think that sitting in the White House a year ago and mapping out where we would go over the next year, we couldn't have designed it any better than we've seen with the data over the last year. You've seen sharply declining inflation. You've seen job gains at the same time period. Today, you also saw an increase in labor force participation. So more people are being drawn into the labor market. More people are getting good jobs. Wages are rising at a very steady rate. So this is an extremely strong economy. It's resilient. Consumer spending, business investment all looks pretty strong, too. So there's no real reason to think that some kind of recession is imminent.
But why does the administration continue to get poor remarks on the economy? Our Bloomberg Morning Consult poll is just focusing on swing states. 35% of voters trust Biden on the economy. They actually trust his potential running mate, former running rival, former President Donald Trump.
Yeah, you know, in that sense, one of the most important data points that came out today, in my opinion, was the Michigan survey of consumer sentiment. Yeah. Way over expectations. Inflation expectations were coming down. Consumer sentiment was way above what people were expecting. I think that the worm is starting to turn a little bit. I don't think that the second that inflation comes down and wages start to outpace inflation, people are going to turn on a dime and say, hey, the economy is great. It's going to take a little bit of time for that to sink in. I think it's starting to sink in.
I'm glad you mentioned Michigan. Our political analyst Rick Davis brought this up earlier, pointing to 90 as the threshold for incumbents to be reelected. It's around 70 right now. Do you see that trajectory moving into next year in the direction that the president needs to reach that 90 level?
I do.
Where he could be viably reelected?
I do. Look, I think obviously unexpected things could happen and the trajectory of the economy could shift. But if things continue on their current trajectory, you have a year basically of at target, roughly, inflation. You have continued job growth. You have wages continuing to rise at the level that they are. You have things like gas prices continuing to come down and stay at historically low levels. That's going to show up in the sentiment data. I have no reason to think it wouldn't, and I think that that's going to end up redounding to the president's advantage.
When you look at, though, why it's not resonating, part of this is people say they don't even understand Bidenomics. As you see this administration really start to ramp up in campaign mode, the president today is at a fundraiser. Why is that? Why are they not? Do you think there's an explanation? Why is it not landing?
Look, I think that over the last 2.5 years, there's been a global inflation challenge, and parties in power across the world have been hit hard politically because of that. If you look at the president's standing relative to other incumbents across the world, it's actually in a much better position. I think it actually reflects the fact that our economy has done a lot better than other leading economies. And again, I think that with another year of positive economic data, another year of high inflation in the rearview mirror, people are going to realize that the president's economic agenda has really delivered for them.
Where are the risks? What's the stuff that interrupts that model? Is it a change in oil prices, geopolitical risk? Is it the consumer finally giving out? And I ask you that knowing that there's no sign of that in this job market. So where would it come from?
Oil is always a concern. It's something that I know folks in the White House pay careful attention to, and it's something that can disrupt the economy in short order. Again, it's sitting in the White House in July of 2021. Nobody expected Russia to invade Ukraine and for that to cause global market disruption. So you always have to be aware of those geopolitical risks. But if you look at the economic data itself, the state of the consumer, the state of business investment, the things that fundamentally drive this economy, all of that data is extraordinarily positive, and there really isn't any sign of weakness within them.
I'm glad you mentioned the oil market because WTI is at $71 and Brent is at $75. OPEC is still pulling back. The U.S. is north of 13 million barrels a day. Not something the White House likes to tout, even though the United States is the biggest producer in the world. Is it time this administration really starts focusing on refilling the SPR?
They already did some today. They put out a request for 3 million barrels. Look, you can't do it all in one fell swoop. I think it's to the administration's credit that they released oil from the SPR at a time when there needed to be downward pressure on gas prices. They actually secured about a 30 or 40 cent reduction in gas prices at that time because of the SPR release. And now they're refilling the SPR at lower prices. They're actually making a profit for the American taxpayer at the same time that they brought gas prices down. I think that that's a very good trade that folks watching, I'm sure, would be happy to have done themselves.
I've got to ask you, now that you left the West Wing, and we can have this conversation, was this term Bidenomics a curse or a blessing? When you were in the White House, did you just wish that had never happened? Because you learned to live with it, and I realize that the administration has tried to turn this like Dark Brandon into a thing. Yep. But was that a help, as Annmarie asks? A lot of people still can't figure out what it is.
Look, as somebody involved in those conversations, yes, I think it's a good thing, and it's what Wayne Gretzky used to say. You don't skate to where the puck is. You're going to skate to where the puck is going to be, right? And that's what made him a great player. And I think that that's what this is. This is about projecting forward a year from now when voters are actually going to go make a decision between the president and whoever his opponent is. And they're going to think about what the economic experience has been over the last 4 years and where they were at the beginning of his term and where they are now. And I think that what they're going to see is that wages are up, business investment is up, jobs are coming back from overseas, and that the president's economic agenda has put the U.S. in a position that is the envy of the other world's leading economies.